What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. I'm your host, Love Coach Scott Thomas, and we have a really important show tonight. You know, many of us that you're going to see presenting tonight have been in the exploration of what's going on with UFOs, now called UAPs, wondering when is disclosure going to happen? When are we going to, as a consciousness, as a public, really recognize, oh my God, we are not alone. And this is an incredible time. I've been in this field for 40 years, and we've got people with us who have been with it for decades longer than that. And so the time is happening. Both President Obama and Donald Trump have alluded to, yes, there are aliens. Trump has ordered the release of long-held confidential files. The first group of files has received over 1 billion views. And we're going to learn a little bit more about some of the key things that are in the files, and most of all the files that have not been released. And then Steven Spielberg, the greatest movie maker of our time, the father of E.T. and Close Encounters, has made what he calls his most personal film. He wrote and directed a movie called Disclosure Day that comes out on Friday, June 12th, and is going to be a mega event. So I'm so grateful of all the people I want to have with us to talk. Danny Sheehan is at the top of the list. Many of you know Danny, but for any of you who don't, he has been the person supporting the little guy against the big guy for a long time, going all the way back to the Karen Silkwood case, Daniel Ellsberg, more recently supporting our Indigenous brothers at Standing Rock, and very recently being the attorney for Lou Elizondo, one of the most important government whistleblowers in this whole UFO event. Now, behind every great Danny, there needs to be a great Sarah Nelson. And so as I bring them both up, I really want to acknowledge Danny's partner, Sarah. And together they have created the New Paradigm Institute. We're going to learn a lot more about it, because never has there been such an important organization perfectly aligned with an absolutely global changing event as what's happening with disclosure. And so the New Paradigm Institute is very, very important. I'm so delighted to have them with us. We're going to learn more about it. And of course, how could we not do this topic without Mr. Making Contact, my good friend, the author of Making Contact, the fellow who always co-hosts these shows, Alan Steinfeld.
Thank you.
We're going to hear from Alan and Danny and Sarah. We're going to take your questions. But before we do any of that, we got a rock and roll, and that means starting off with our house musical artist, our beloved Omashar.
Yes, and monumental show ahead, and welcome everybody.
Everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube, thank you. And in honor, we have a musical artist, Ashok, with us, who will be giving us kirtan later. And it's interesting because I'm going to sing a song which is it's a chant in honor of Ashok, but also it's from the Upanishads, and it's called Guru Brahma. And I sing it because they were very, very well aware of our off-planetary friends. Way, way back, thousands of years ago, they already knew about this stuff. It's even written about. And so here we are. Without further ado, I'm going to change my background and just join in. Gurave Namaha Nidaye Shrova Vijanam Vishade Baba Roginam Gurave Shrova Lokanam Ashinamotaye Namaha
Let's send twinkles and appreciation to our beautiful brother. And yes, we're going to have a lot of kirtan and beautiful music towards the end of the show.
So that is the closest thing to starring which I could ever imagine.
Absolutely. And thank you for this beautiful backdrop. You always have the perfect backdrop for the theme of the show. Thank you. So we're going to bring up Alan and Danny and Sarah in just a moment, but I want to read a couple comments from the audience. And I want to invite all of you who are watching on all of our broadcast partners. Thank you to the Sign Network. We go out to about 150 broadcast partners, Facebook groups, and pages. If you want to come into the Zoom room, you can still do that. Just go to our website, which is globalpeacetribe.com. globalpeacetribe.com, and click register for the new season. That'll take you to the registration page. It's very, very easy to register, and you'll get the Zoom room links for tonight and all of our Zoom rooms for the next 3.5 months, all the way through till the end of September. We do 2 shows every week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and about once a month we do a Sacred Sunday show. And our shows are always filled with amazing, extraordinary guests who are truly creating our awakening world. Susan Bloomquist writes, greetings. All the funny thing about this is that it may be Steven Spielberg who ends up getting the credit for revealing to the world this extraordinary phenomenon. Phil writes, Steven Spielberg believes in aliens and life on other planets, so I suspect his film will be very supportive, revealing and encouraging to us all about life on these other planets. I'm looking forward to our discussion. And we've got people from Vancouver, Ecuador, all over. Susan writes, I listened to an interview with Steven Spielberg recently, and his message of the movie is empathy and compassion. And yes, Susan, I've watched about a dozen interviews now. He's really working the circuit. Even the trailer for the movie is him talking. And he said the message is empathy and compassion, which is music to my ears, being a love coach. Again, just appreciating all the people that are with us from all over. I'm only going to read a couple more comments. Karen S. writes, I've been waiting on this for decades. Disclosure is one of the final prerequisites before Nasara can be announced. It is a big step towards the awakening that we all are longing for. And then the last message that I'm going to read is from Carol Craig. And I don't know, Danny, I don't know if you know about this or not, but she asks, I'm interested in the connection of elks to ETs. Now, Alan and I recently heard about the connection between owls and ET, but I don't know about elks and ETs. So I'm going to bring up now all of our guests, begin our roundtable conversation. And I guess I'll just start with that one. Do any of you know why Spielberg is drawing this relationship between elks and ETs?
Well, there's things called screen memories, and sometimes an ET could appear as an owl, an elk, a deer. So that might be what he's referring to. But I just want to say about the whole movie, it is the most anticipated film, I think, of the last 50 years or ever. Everyone is talking about, especially at Contact. There was such a buzz at Contact in the Desert. It's really exciting. So What do you think, Danny and Sarah?
Well, go ahead, Sarah. You have to unmute. Love.
Well, it's so exciting. I'm so grateful to every single person on this planet that has contributed to this moment
Mm.
with work and with meditation and prayers and everything that has brought us here. Because I think we're at this moment that could be the beginning of an entirely new part of human history, a new part for humanity. We could recreate things, we could improve upon things. All of our systems we've developed as humans, and we've gone through different phases. We had pharaohs, we had feudalism, we had all of this here, and now we have our multinational capitalism and our current government systems. And if with disclosure, because our consciousness is going to leap through disclosure, and we could go into the future with new consciousness to develop new systems and governments and a new paradigm of living for all of us. So yeah, in this regard, I'm so grateful to him, because he is taking this from a movement issue, which it's been for all of you. I'm only 3 years into this. Some of you are 40, 50 years into this. He's taking it from a movement issue to a national global issue, because everybody's going to see this film all over the world.
Right.
And so what he does with this film, and I'm so grateful to hear you say that you believe it's going to be compassionate, it's going to be loving, it's going to be, positive, because that was a concern we all had. Oh my, because some of the trailers look a little scary. So I think he's going to do it for all of us. I think he's going to help us make the leap now to the global, and it's our job to keep steering and working in the direction of the positive, so it doesn't get taken in the direction of the military industrial complex towards what could be a nuclear war ultimately. So it's this new consciousness that we have and that we want to bless the entire planet with. We got to be it, do it, engineer it, lead it to the best of our ability in the direction of a very positive future.
Beautifully stated, Sarah. You talked about people who've been in it for a long time. Danny Sheehan was asked when Jimmy Carter was president, he was asked to be the person to do the research on this. So Danny goes all the way back to the late 1970s. So Danny, give us a little bit of your history and, of course, your perspective about where we are now.
Well, I think that on a scale of 1 to 100, we have to understand that prior to the December 17th, 2017, front page story in the New York Times, with Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, the big story that was done by Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal, that sort of began kind of the more recent era of what's really happening here. This was the first time that people who were kind of deep inside the program that was designed to conceal the reality of the UFOs actually had come forward and in a public forum, and of all places, the New York Times, specifically asserting that UFOs are real, that these are not hallucinations, that people who see UFOs are not mentally ill, that these are real, that there's active investigation going on in the Pentagon about these things. Now, that was a peculiar story in that it was suggestive of the fact that the government didn't know what they were. And that they were sort of investigating it, and it was important for the average person to realize that the government was acknowledging that they were real to the extent to which they were investigating them. But of course, those of us who knew about this knows that the government has known about these things since at least 1947, probably 1945, when they actually were put into possession of the first of the crafts, one of which crashed in Italy apparently in 1933. and was turned over to the United States in 1945, by the Vatican, actually. And so when we saw the front page stories of the New York Times, those of us who've been involved in this for a long time, we were pleased. We were pleasantly surprised that people from inside the government were coming forward. I was especially interested in the fact that the New York Times had decided to publish this, because I'd been involved, as you know, with the Pentagon Papers back in 1971. And so I knew that there had to be a process pursuant to which the board of editors and stuff of the New York Times had gone through this, had contacted their national security sources, and had been cleared to write the story. And of course, I was also aware of the fact that obviously Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon had been cleared to say what they were saying to the New York Times. So that right from the very beginning, there's been a story which is the front stage story of what's going on, and this other story behind the scenes of recognizing that there's a set of decisions that are being made at a very high level inside the government to start revealing some of this information. Now, we were also still struck by the fact that Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, more Lou at that stage, were still framing this whole reality of the UFOs as some kind of a threat, and that this sort of justified the military staying in charge of it. They were trying to work up sort of an apologetic for the 80 years of having kept this secret. So we've been privy to the progress of this set of disclosures, and as we all know, kind of the next big step, even though that was in 2017, the next big step that came forward was David Grush, who appeared in front of a congressional committee. Well, he 2 weeks earlier, on I think June 11th, prior to his July 26th testimony in front of Congress, he came forward and gave a live interview with Russ Coulthart on News Nation. We actually played this live. Richard Dolan and I played that interview with Ross Coulthart live on June 11th of 2023, in which Grush actually said some extraordinary things, said not only that UFOs were real, but that in fact we were in possession of a number of the non-human origin extraterrestrial spacecraft. And secondly, that we were in possession of the bodies of some of the occupants, and that they'd been tested and confirmed to be non-human. Now, those were major escalations in the revelation of the information that was going on. And then David Grush went on to, in a very, very important additional step, asserting that the United States military was involved in a process of attempting to reverse engineer the technology that had been recovered from a number of these UFO crafts to develop a new weapon system. Now that is the kind of mortal sin of intelligence officers to actually start publicly revealing the activities with regard to making weapon systems. That's like talking about the content of the nuclear bomb, that they executed the Rosenbergs for. So we were watching this kind of escalation take place, but I knew from behind the scenes that David Grush had been authorized to tell that information as well. And so what we started doing at the New Paradigm Institute, in addition to creating an entire institute to try to put pressure on the United States Congress to take over this process of revealing all of this information, which was front and center of our whole major disclosure movement with Citizens for Disclosure, which Sarah will give you some more details about. But I was aware of the fact that there was this extraordinary play going on behind the scenes of high-level officials in the military and in the intelligence community authorizing and encouraging David Grush and the others to come forward and start sharing this information. So we immediately started trying to figure out, where is this going? Why are they doing this? What is it that's going on that has caused them after 80 years to start making this decision to start revealing some of the information? Now, what became clear to us was that on the day after David Grush's testimony in front of the United States Congress, which was an entire new dimension of the revelation, because this meant that the United States Congress was now willing to support the public revelation of this information. So you had not only the inside whistleblowers themselves, but you had the New York Times, and now you had the United States Congress all being willing to put this out into the public. And we knew that there were people deep in the intelligence community and in the military that were authorizing them to do this. So the question that immediately arises is, how much information pursuant to this process are they intending to release? And how quickly are they going to do it? And number three, why are they doing it? Why are they doing it after all of these years? And those are the questions that kind of fascinate us as major public policy participants, out of the New Paradigm Institute. And the thing that has become so remarkable is that when former President Obama announced on February 14th in an interview that he was asked what the first thing he did after he was inaugurated, and he said that he tried to get a hold of the UFO information about aliens. He said it just like that. And when he was asked by the interviewer, well, do you actually believe that aliens are real? He said they are. And when the news media raised this to Donald Trump's initial reaction was, in typical Donald Trump form, well, that's a violation of national security. Obama was engaged in unlawful conduct. He wanted to go attack Obama rather than come to grips with the content of it. But after it dawned on him that Obama had already now revealed that as the president, he knew that the UFOs were real and that the extraterrestrial beings were real, then Donald Trump decided, to pretend that he was yielding to all the pressure of the citizens to get him to disclose this. Now, that of course brings us to the first two tranches of information. Now, the first two tranches of information are still confined to showing things that are analogous to the videos that were shown by the New York Times back in December of 2017. So here we are in 2026, almost 10 years later, and what they're disclosing to us are things analogous to those distant lights moving in an erratic way in the sky, and talking about the qualities and characteristics of these craft, etc. Whereas we knew that they have photographs of a wingtip far away UFOs taken by the pilots of the F-18 Super Hornets. They had cameras inside their cockpits taking photographs of these, and you can see the occupants in the UFOs. We know this is true, okay? And so that while we're celebrating, on the one hand, the beginning of the release of these tranches of information, we're aware of the fact that that it doesn't go much farther than at least a third of all of the information that was being asserted within the UFO community prior to any of these releases. We were all aware of these things going on. But just in closing, let me say that now that we've started getting some of the releasing of the tranches of these videos and some of the internal documents, example, the 302s, the field investigations of the Air Force Office of Special Investigation going out and interviewing a number of people who had UFO encounter experiences, we've got these things coming out, but there's a whole new phase that is following on the immediate footsteps of the release of these documents in these videos. And that is that Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and Lou Elizondo have very clearly been authorized now to start moving to an entirely new level of revelation of information over and above what's been released even in the documents. And Hal Puthoff has now begun going on podcasts international podcasts along with Dan Farah, who was the producer and director of The Age of Disclosure. And Dan Farah is taking a very specific position that he's willing to talk about over podcasts, information that he got, interviewing lots of sources that he interviewed during the preparation of Age of Disclosure, who were telling him things even more sensitive, but they wouldn't agree to go on camera and they wouldn't agree to go on film. But he is telling about some of those things now, which has to do with actually seeing beings in the craft and people, beings, non-human beings coming out of the craft and having encounters with people on the ground. And you've got Hal Puthoff appearing with him, sitting directly next to Dan Farah, nodding and encouraging him to say those things. Now that's extraordinarily important. I mean, you've got Hal Puthoff secondarily confirming those things that are being said by Dan Farah. Okay, now that's an important thing. And then you have Eric Davis. Eric Davis has now, at Contact in the Desert this last weekend, he has specifically acknowledged now in public that, in fact, the extraterrestrial beings are, in fact, extraterrestrial. That they're not, in fact, they're not coming de novo from our planet Earth, and they're not extra dimensional. What they are is they're beings, organic beings from other star systems in our galaxy. And he said that. And he said that they appear to be, to some people, they appear to be extra dimensional because of the way they transit, coming from their distant stars to our star system. And he talked about sort of how they do that, which has to do with this psychic phenomenon of kind of bilocation. And that they have this technology that is able to basically amp up the process of bilocation, which is a talent or a charism of avatars, human avatars, that we all are aware of, that do these kind of things, that they can transmute matter from one form into another, they can levitate, they can bilocate, they can astral travel. All of these kind of things that the human beings have are being acknowledged now as being characteristics of the ET beings. Okay.
Right.
And also, he said wormholes, Denny.
That's right. That they travel. That he thinks they travel through wormholes, and that they can therefore come almost instantly from their star system to ours. Now, and that they're not extra dimensional. Now, also in closing, Lou Elizondo now. Lou Elizondo, I was just with him last night. We just did a major event up in San Francisco. We had an audience of 500 people. We were live for 2 hours on stage, exchanging observations about the state of development of the, and Lou Elizondo, copying what Hal was doing. Lou Elizondo was asking me to tell the world what I thought was going to be ultimately disclosed if, in fact, the AI technology was able to penetrate through the encryptions of all the classified information around the world. What were they going to say? What is it they were going to find? So he gave me the stage with him sitting there, going on in detail about what we understand to be, from the New Paradigm Institute's point of view, what it is that's still being hidden. Now, this is an extraordinary process that's going on right now. So that Hal Puthoff and Lou Elizondo and Eric Davis are all participating in this next phase, which is going on in parallel with the release of these documents. So that's what's happening right now.
Well, Danny, I want to just ask you, we've been basically getting breadcrumbs from the government. That could be either one or two things that people think they're satisfied. We'll just give them this, and that's all we're going to show them, or they're slowly giving us the rollout that will make it easier to digest the bigger news. So either the disclosure, which we are in, is informational, Or I think, though, it has to be transformational. We have to talk about the effect of these craft
Yes,
on
sure.
consciousness, perception, missing time, distortions of space, the emotion. So that's where we need to go.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about last night when he turned to me and said, if AI continues to be developed and was able to basically penetrate through the encryptions, what do you think they would find? That's how he did it. He sort of kind of pitched it to me, and so I began to talk about specifically these issues of consciousness and the impact that it was going to have on our human family coming to realize that we have these extraordinary set of characteristics and qualities and charisms and abilities that have been suppressed. And I began to talk about the fact that the churches and the major religious traditions have been deeply involved in suppressing this information about the capacities of individual human beings in order to maintain their authority. Okay. And so that's an extraordinarily important step to be taken. So in a certain sense, we got to participate, the New Paradigm Institute got to participate in leaning in, asserting what we understood to be still hidden, with Lou Elizondo encouraging us to do it.
Well,
I've got two quick questions for you, Danny.
Yeah.
So, assuming it is some sort of planned rollout,
Yes.
do you believe that the secret government or whoever's in charge has been supporting Spielberg and collaborating with him on the film coming out at the exact same time? And also, is there any truth to the rumors that certain churches, major leaders in the church movement, have been getting declassified information and prepared for the oncological impact of disclosure?
No, I think that both of those things are projections that exceed the evidence at the present time. I think that Steven Spielberg has his own long history of reviewing the information and knowledge. We know people whom he has consulted to ask questions of the people in the UFO community, etc. I dare say that may well have had inquiries that he directed to people who were whistleblowers. But as I say, I think that the primary dynamic of the film appears to be him trashing the shit out of the national security state. That basically they're chasing the protagonist around. The protagonist has come across this kind of a shocking revelation that UFOs are real and that they're extraterrestrial, which of course is being treated by the movie as a fact. But then the bad guys start going after him and chasing him around so that you get the drama of him jumping over cars and doing the mandatory car chases and, escape things, the kind of engine large audiences. But I don't believe that that Spielberg is involved in any type of clandestine relationship working with the legacy group itself. He may have been in some communication with some of these guys who are on the periphery of being authorized to move forward with some information.
Yeah.
So
I agree, because the artist has always been at the forefront of new knowledge. So Spielberg, being one of the gifted artists of our generation, of our time, has gone over the edge and brought in what I call a signifying agent. That means a phenomenon within culture to make these new times accessible to everyone. This is what the artist does. This is what you can compare that to Uncle Tom's Cabin, the book, making it okay to be against slavery and abolition. Well, Spielberg's done the same thing with this movie. It's okay now to believe in you.
I don't disagree, but for example, I don't believe that the authors of Uncle Tom's Cabin were in cahoots with the national political leadership.
No. And neither is Spielberg. I totally agree. The artists, like Terence McKenna said, if the artist can't find the way cannot be found. So Spielberg,
they intuit it.
I also think Spielberg, I'm going to show an article later, I think he's a contactee. There's early childhood examples of him seeing lights, and he's been obsessed with this since childhood. So I think there's elements of that.
Well, I
Um,
mean,
I'd like to add something to the
go ahead.
discussion
Yes.
about Eric Davis and Lou and Mellon and these guys. I mean, I really think, and of course we can't prove this at this stage, but I really think that Spielberg has created a situation where these fellows that do still have their security clearances. I mean, which is why Danny says they've been given the go ahead to do a certain amount, but not everything, because then if they do that, they'll lose their security clearances. That's what they've been told, I believe. Because Lou has said this in public hearings. I mean, he said, well, I can't answer that. You'd have to ask somebody over my head about that. So there's somebody over his head. And the thing is, though, with the Spielberg film coming, they have to do something. They have to get out front. They've got to loosen up here, because Spielberg is going to take the initiative away from them. I mean, they've been key in this whole phase of disclosure. Lou was key. He really launched this period of disclosure. But Spielberg is going to make a leap here. And so I just think part of why we see all these fellows coming out now. And when Lou was interviewed by Jillian Michaels on her podcast, that's the first time we saw him saying all kinds of things that he hadn't ever said before, talking about abductions, talking about my lab, talking about things that he would never talk about. And the way he did it is he would said, I have been told by people that I really trust, really credible sources about these things. So he didn't say, I saw it, I know it. He said he had heard it from credible sources, but even that was something very new that he was doing. And then it's followed up at Contact with what Davis says, and now what Lou did last night, which was basically have Danny say it. So that way he doesn't have to say it, but he threw the ball to Danny and asked him a lot of questions and let him run with it. I think that some of these fellows really do want disclosure, and they're in this situation where they're limited in what they can do unless they want to lose their security clearances.
Well, but it's also important to point out that another couple of things that Lou said, when he was being interviewed by Julian Michaels in her thing called "Keeping It Real," he actually started. He said that these high-level United States military and intelligence officials that he knows, who have always proven to be completely credible to him in his sourcing of information, he said that they have told him that they have seen reports which they swear by that have to do with United States military aircraft escorting UFOs. And these reports reporting United States military personnel working side by side with extraterrestrial beings. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, these are not just kind of, off the cuff kind of remarks that he's making, and he's attributing it to his high level sources in the intelligence community and in the military.
And do you think that may be why it's coming out now that the ETs, whoever they are, gave Congress, the secret government, the ultimatum saying we're ready to show up. You tell them or we show up. I get the feeling that may be behind
Well,
this.
that's more of speculation that exceeds the data right now. And I mean, people might want to wish that. And we still don't know. We still don't know what it is that Lou is talking about. Lou keeps on talking about the fact that he believes that something is getting ready to happen. He keeps saying that, and he's not talking about what's happening is the disclosure on their part, which they're under the control of. He's talking about something else that's going to happen.
Right.
And he's saying he doesn't want to be in a position of that having happened. And he knew things that he had not told people in time. Okay.
Well, the name of his book is Imminent. That's what he's saying. He never told us what was imminent.
That's right. That's right. Nothing, nowhere in the whole book say, okay,
Right.
imminent. What's he talking about here? He never did say that. And and the name, the initial name of the book that he's writing right now was called The Reckoning. Now, we don't know whether the publishers are going to stick with that one, but that was the initial proposed title for it. So we don't know yet, but Lou is on the trail. He's making more and more appearances. He's on a thing called the Persona non grata tour. That's what he's calling it, the persona non grata tour that he's on, and he's bringing out. I don't know who else he intends to call to the stage and have them do the. He's doing the kind of ventriloquist kind of activity right now. Here, let me ask you a couple of questions. Like, what do you think about this? And then he had a pretty good idea what I was going to say.
I just want to bring up one point that Sarah said. Basically, we are in disclosure. Everything we've wanted for the last 80 years is rolling out, and it's because people like you, Danny and Sarah, and all of us have been working and pushing and making it public. So it's happening.
No doubt about that. But one final point. The continuing question is, what is it that they are going to still make every possible effort to conceal? Because they're going to do it. And I said it last night. One thing you can be absolutely certain about is that there's information that they definitely are going to do everything they can do to not allow it to become public. And that's our job, is to find out what that is.
Right.
So here's a question, and then I want to again remind people and begin to talk about New Paradigm Institute. But it appears, as you can tell, Danny, as you've been in this for so long, that do you believe that there is a primary, central, secret or shadow government that has a lot of control? Or is it a lot of moving parts, all with different agendas, and it's more chaotic, if you will? What's your perspective?
It's not that it's not a secret government that has lots of complex structure or anything. There's a particular unit of people that they were originally appointed back in 1947 by President Truman. There were 12 of them. We have a very good idea who they all are. And
the MJ-12?
That's the MJ-12 group. And that they were, in fact, instructed to keep this secret, to make sure that they suppressed any information about it. They were given quasi-governmental authority to engage in those kind of covert operations, helping to develop the entire the psychic program of brainwashing the American public into believing that anybody who believed in UFOs were mentally ill, etc. Okay. Now, and each of those 12 men was authorized to pick his own personal replacement when he got to a point where he didn't think he could function effectively anymore. And so there have been like 2 or 3 generations of these people. And when I raised this point with Lou about whether or not it was appropriate to refer to them as MJ-12, he said, you should really consider calling them MJ-27. because there's a group that I know about that there happens to, I've never seen anything quite like this. They have a board of directors with 27 people on it.
Wow.
So just about the New Paradigm Institute, Danny, is what you sort of got that from John Mack in a sense, because you worked with him.
Yes. Yeah.
And John Mack said, really, to understand this phenomena, we need other ways of knowing. We need other ways of cognizing reality. We need a new paradigm. So go into the paradigm, your New Paradigm Institute. What is the new paradigm that needs to happen to the people of this world in order to integrate the phenomena into their daily life?
Well, this is part of what I talked about last night when he gave me the green light to go, and I started talking about the fact that it really has to do with the discovery of things about ourselves, that we in fact have capacities that are very similar to those that are being displayed by the ET beings, of engaging in telepathic communication, being able to project, to precognate certain information about the future, to be able to kind of do remote viewing, to view events that have happened in the past. There's all kinds of capabilities that our human family has. But I got right to the nut of it, pointing out that the bottom line is that human beings have the capacity to direct our attention to the inchoate next 10 billionth of a microsecond of reality and have a statistically significant impact on forming what's going to be happening in the material world, that we actually have that capacity. And this is an absolutely, as I said to the audience, this has got the military people scared shitless, because they know that the ET beings have got this capacity in spades. I mean, that they've jacked it way up to the point where they can manipulate reality itself. And that's what they're concerned about, and that we can too. And so that this is going to be that it just reminds me. I've got to do a little story. That two friends of mine were sitting on the couch back in 1972, as I recall. And one of them was in computer science, right? And the other two of us were lawyer friends. And the computer guy was saying, in 100 years, computers are going to be able to do things that you cannot even conceive of right now. And my other friend said, like what? Okay, that's where we are right now. I mean, that's really where we are now. I mean, we can speculate, we can extrapolate, we can project, the cutting edge of whatever it is we as human beings know about right now, and kind of try to multiply it by 2 or 4 or 10, But the fact of the matter is, there are things about the extraterrestrial civilization that we can't even guess at right now. And that's part of what's terrifying people like Lou and the other people who want to be in control. In that
I would like to add something to your question, Alan, that how does it affect our lives? We spent a couple hours talking with Dr. Thomas Campbell, who is a physicist who spent a decade with another scientist working with Robert Monroe, who then, after that decade, started the Monroe Institute, which is the primary institution in the United States for decades, that has been teaching people how to do these psi capacities that they have, how to bring them forth and actually develop them. And so this fellow, helped develop the very tools that were there at the Monroe Institute from the beginning. Anyway, he has continued to do his research as a physicist of the entire cosmos and all of this. And here's what he said. He said, the cosmos is one thing. Yeah. It's a biological entity. Our universe is a biological entity, and it is evolving. There are other universes within this larger thing, which we don't understand yet what that is. But within it, there are different universes. Each one of them is evolving, and the goal is to move consistently towards a frequency of love, which he says is the frequency that is shot throughout the universe, that holds things together in harmony, which is what Teilhard de Chardin talked about. He called it the Christic force. I'm sure that the Hindus called it something else in the Vedas, but the point is there's a bonding phenomenon. And what he's saying is it's love, and that the frequency of love is what the universe is trying to arrive at. And each one of us is part of that journey. So every time we have a challenge, and he said all of our challenges, all of our suffering, all of our pain, all of our everything, obstacles, are an opportunity for us to break apart the sort of crusted patterns that we've put in place to survive or to be successful or to ward off pain or to do whatever we do. We create our sort of view through which we see reality and how we manage in reality for success. And every time we get hit with one of these really difficult things, it's an opportunity to break that apart, remake decisions, and decide to move in the direction of the love frequency rather than in the direction of revenge, hostility, fight back, overcome, destroy, whatever we might do, going in another direction with the frequency. And he said, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And so we have to embrace our challenges, choose another step towards the love frequency, and just that's what's happening in the universe. That was his position as a physicist who had studied consciousness for 50 years.
But we have to take these files out of the Department of War.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the problem. Go ahead, Scott.
That's for sure.
Yeah, well, first of all, I always so love your perspective, Sarah. And just as many of us have been involved in the UFO field for so long, I've also been very involved in the near-death experience field, as I know Lori has as well. And of course, almost every person who has an NDE, when they're shown the meaning of life, whether it's Jesus showing it to them, or the golden light showing it to them, or their dead Uncle Fred showing it to them, it's always about, I'm here to learn to love. The meaning of life truly is we're here to learn to love ourselves and to love each other. And so I love hearing your perspective on that. And I think that it's true. We have to recognize, just as when, Europeans arrived, indigenous people couldn't imagine some of the technology that they saw. Well, likewise, obviously, the extraterrestrials that are visiting us are much more advanced, much more evolved. And we have a lot of growing up to do real fast, which leads to why the New Paradigm Institute is so important. And I'm going to share your website and ask you both to share a little bit with us about how we can get involved and what we can do. And so I want to encourage everybody. Everybody is on a computer right now. So go to the newparadigminstitute.org, newparadigminstitute.org. And that's where you're going to learn all about what they're doing. And maybe because this is the great event of our time. And so Danny and Sarah are tapped in with the top leaders, educators, people in the know, so that we can stay in touch with what's happening and really, as it says right here, prepare for this extraordinary time in human history. So Sarah or Danny, walk us through the website a little bit.
Well, we created this website 3 years ago in 2023 when we launched the New Paradigm Project after Grush testified. We created this website for to be an engine, to be a powerful engine that could educate, and spread consciousness, that could provide action opportunities for people to participate in making disclosure happen, and could be a place where we could fundraise. And this engine, it's quite expensive. We have to pay for it every month, all this capacity, but it has been really terrific. And we've tweaked it a lot over the years. It gets better all the time. And it's here for the people. This has been put together as a tool for everyone to participate in making disclosure happen. And I would invite people to if you sign up for the newsletter, or if you donate, or if you join Citizens for Disclosure, you can do any of those things. If you join Citizens for Disclosure, you will get connected with local people wherever you are in the country who are working together in their local communities on disclosure, and putting pressure on their senators and their House of Representatives folks. They're organized from the ground up. And so if you join that, you'll get hooked up with your people wherever you are. And then if you just sign up for the newsletter, any of these things, and if you donate, you will start receiving all of our information. And we are communicating with people 2 or 3 times a week, keeping them up to date on the developments that are happening in Washington, D.C., that are happening on the ground, that are happening with the whistleblowers, trying to pick the main stuff that is credible to share with people, because our goal is to be a place where people can trust the information, because there's a lot flying around out there, and some of it is to just attract people to podcasts, not so much to be concerned about whether it's factual. We are trying very hard to have it be credible information, and also we are doing the grassroots organizing. We have our person meeting with congressional staff regularly, all the time, different ones, educating the staff, because the staff doesn't know anything about this either, right? And they are really important, because because they do all kinds of things for their congressional leaders. They make a lot of decisions. Some of them are only 21 years old. They just got out of college. And so there's a whole educational effort going on there. And also Danny, and with the help of sometimes some pro bono lawyers, has written policy. So we've written whistleblower policy. We've written, he has written a whole new bill, an independent bill that's a disclosure bill, which we hope will get introduced in the next year. It was done at the request of legislators. So that's another piece that's there. And we have there have been people requesting that we do a RICO case. And that is something that only, quite frankly, I don't think this is an exaggeration. Danny is the only civil rights, constitutional, any kind of attorney in the United States that knows how to file a RICO civil case. You know, if you're in the government and you file a RICO case, you're usually doing it against the mob and you're putting them in jail for all kinds of fraud and kidnapping and murder and all kinds of law. There's about 10 different violations. And this is the kind of thing that is going on in this legacy program. They have been engaged in the kind of things that the mob has been engaged in. And that's part of why they don't want it all to come out. Because some of that has no statute of limitations. There's no statute of limitations on murder, right? So there's an element, a small element that wants to keep it very quiet because some of their friends could potentially be put in jail, right? So, but you can't, with a civil suit, you can't put people in jail. You can only pay and make them pay money. But that's not even the whole point of all this. The point of it is the reason why the whistleblowers like Carl Nell and Lou and these other guys, as well as the more progressive people that want us to do RICO, is because it's a tool for getting to the deepest truth. The way that it would work is Danny would investigate the whole thing and know exactly what was happening and then put it all in a lawsuit. And then those people would get subpoenaed and then what would be said to them is, you can get immunity only if you tell the truth. You got to tell the truth.
Beautiful.
Because the people need to know. And so it's similar to what happened with the Truth and Reconciliation thing in South Africa that the Tutu led. But the point is, we don't want to see people get pardoned before they tell the truth, which is what happened to Bush with our people in Iran-Contra. They pardoned the very people that he was charging with all these crimes. So we don't want that. What we want is you have to come forward and be subpoenaed, or you have the choice. You can have immunity, but you have to tell the truth.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. But in order to do RICO, it's really expensive, you guys. I mean, we try really hard to provide as much stuff free to everybody as we possibly can, so this doesn't become sort of commercialized and you're not looking at ads all day long while you're trying to figure out what our information says. But fact of the matter is, it does cost money, all of this. And to do RICO will cost, we have to put a legal team and investigative team together that's crackerjack, really good. And they have to be brave and courageous. And so that PC hasn't even happened, hasn't even been put together yet. We also are doing right now, if people join us, you will immediately receive a link to our Sunday series, because we're going to have Danny on for free on the Zoom every Sunday for 4 Sundays after the film starts. So the film opens up on Friday. That Sunday, which is the 14th, he'll be on at 12 o'clock Pacific nationally on Zoom for people to do a Q&A with him. It could go on for 2 or 3 hours where people are asking, what about the film is true? What about the film is fictionalized? What do you know about this? What do we do? And when they say, what can we do? What can we do? Then we're going to say, join our action program to get all of the candidates in this country to pledge to do disclosure if they get elected. So we're going to have 468 campaign races in November. And between now and November, our Citizens for Disclosure people are going to be trying to get their candidates, because all the House has to run and a third of the Senate, get all of their candidates to sign the pledge. If I get elected, I will fight for disclosure. I will make it happen. And that's what we're going to be doing between now and November. And it's already been in one of the election forums that ABC ran. The ABC reporter asked the candidates, what about disclosure? Do you support disclosure of the UFO information? And there were three candidates. One of them did, one of them was uncertain, and one of them said, I don't know about the national security issues. And so it was just like perfect, because those are the three responses you would expect. And that's already happened, and we're hoping there'll be other forums where the candidates have these same questions. But that's the big action plan between now and November. And the more people that participate, the more groundswell there is. We voters really have to let them know that this is an issue that we care about. Bipartisan, we don't, all of them. We want all of them to step up and to say they're going to give us this information, because we should have had it a long time ago. They have probably spent well over $1 trillion, maybe I don't know how many trillion, spending our tax money on this without any oversight from our Congress, and not even telling our presidents half the time. So, time out, over.
So now it's our turn. Everybody watching, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and of course, all of our subscribers that are in the Zoom room, please, we're going to take a little break right now. We're going to listen to some beautiful music from our friend Ashoka. And during that time, I want to invite you to, at the very least, go down and sign up for the newsletter, put in your name and your email address. But I also want to really ask people to go to the donate button. It's kind of at the top, at the center. Go and please donate, because it's so important for us to support this wonderful work that they're doing. I'm going to kind of demonstrate how to do it. It's very easy. Just click however much you want to donate, and you can click one time just today, or you can make it a monthly. And monthly is wonderful, because that way they know that they've got, a certain amount of money coming in every month. Then just click next and put in your information, and it's that easy to donate. I'm going to donate $100 right now, and I really hope that everybody, and however you're going to donate, whether it's $5 or $500, put in something, because that lets them know that, hey, I believe in what you're doing. Danny and Sarah they're extraordinary. They are traveling all over at their own expense to educate us, to help us prepare for this very important time in human history. And I know Lori has supported them quite a bit in the past. So she, of course, wanted to come down and watch. So I'm going to turn it over to one of our wonderful musical artists, Brother Ashoka, who's going to lead a kirtan. And during that time, I'm going to take a look at all the questions. I'm going to finish paying the $100. And then I'm going to take a look at some of the questions that have come in, and then we'll come back and ask you some of the questions that have come in from the audience. And it's my pleasure to turn it over to Ashoka.
Thank you, dear Scott, and thank you, Omshar, and the panelists. Very interesting topic as a physics and computer science major. I'll sing a cosmic chants of Paramahamsa Yogananda, a prayer and a chant. And Omshar is going to put the lyrics on the chat. Full of bliss, giving joy, transcendent of higher knowledge, the abode, joyal no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as the word that He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, for far beyond qualities and thought, Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. The chant is, it's called At Thy Feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossom for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In sacred in my soul, I will gather blossoms fruit, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart 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 song.
Mhm. Let's go to gallery view and let's send love and appreciation to our beautiful, beloved brother Ashok. And I love that your connection to Paramahansa Yogananda, who is my master teacher, and I think has been such an influence on so many of us. And you can learn more about Ashok and his work. He has a beautiful website. It's swankirtan.com. Swankirtan.com. And there's a beautiful connection between kirtan and the sacred music that we just heard and the profound work that Danny and Sarah are doing. And I want to read, when I have Ashok on the show, I always like to read his vision for his life, because if we all adopted this same vision, this same intentions, well, that's part of the awakened world that Danny, Sarah, Alan, Omashar, all of us are creating. He writes, the focus of Ashok's daily life is serving and inspiring others through leading, writing, presenting, and singing, loving his family, God, and God's creation with devotion, realizing the self through yoga, gaining knowledge and wisdom by continuously learning, admiring nature and different cultures by traveling the world, and cherishing every day, being healthy, truthful, and grateful. And his motto, live, love, laugh, learn, lead, and leave a legacy. So thank you, Ashoka. And we'll be closing the show tonight with a longer kirtan. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And certainly someone who has already created an extraordinary legacy in his life is Danny. What an amazing life you've led, and all the people you've supported, Danny. And what you and Sarah are doing now is so incredibly important. So I hope people were donating during the time. And Alan, I know you've got a question you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think the most important thing said here is this is about love. It's about awakening the higher powers that human beings potentially have. I think that's what they call catastrophic disclosure, the fact that people are waking up, that they can be in control of their own consciousness. And there's something about consciousness and the phenomena that's interactive and participatory. So we need to wake up to the real value and a presence of who we are as human beings. But Danny, does this upset the religious background or the religious people who want to keep us, because I know you come from a background that want to keep us sort of in service to a God that likes to keep everything in place? How does this affect what we're talking about, me and Sarah and other people?
Well, just like in the old Sufi stories, a Sufi story, takes place on like a half a dozen different levels. That's the key to a Sufi story. That it can be understood by little children, who hear kind of a little fairy tale going on. It can be heard and understood on the part of kind of younger grown-up people, as kind of a moral allegory. It can then also, of course, be understood on the part of people who have a higher spiritual discernment as a story revealing certain kind of esoteric secrets about the capabilities of human beings. And the same thing is true of these religious institutions, most of them. The fact is that if you probe down into the core teachings of these traditions, you'll discover, to no one's surprise, that they've really grown up around the activities and the being of a certain individual people that are astonishing. That they're extraordinarily loving. They're very compassionate. They're forgiving. And they're not into trying to build any particular kind of empire or anything, but what they're doing is they're going around presenting themselves as the message. That they are the medium of the message. That they're open-hearted and loving and considerate, and people are drawn to them, and then they begin asking them questions. And when they deign to answer the questions and provide advice to people that ask for it, people tend to start codifying that. And then they start writing it down and they start making up rules and regulations. And they start trying to build an organization and an institution around them, initially to help and facilitate that individual, getting those messages out. But it starts to ossify over time, especially when that person passes away. The other people who ascend into leadership in those organizations tends to start, mistaking the roadmap for the road, and start setting forth doctrines and enforcing them. And the Catholic Church, of course, is an extraordinarily important example of that in Western civilization. I mean, it is the largest single religious denomination in all of Western civilization. It has a longevity as an institution and a structure. And so and then all of the 54 Protestant denominations that there are, extraordinarily enough, derive from the original Catholic Christology, which in turn arises out of the Hebrew traditions. That Jesus of Nazareth was understood by the Christian people to be the actual Messiah that was actually forecast, precognated, if you will, by the prophets. And the prophets were people who, if you examine the life of the prophets, you discover that they were engaged in these kind of extraordinary things, that they could forecast the future, they could cure people by laying on the hands, that they were displaying a series of talents, as they're referred to in the scriptures. And Teilhard de Chardin, the very well-known Jesuit priest who was a paleontologist, who actually discovered Peking man, wrote about this and tried to elucidate in letters to his sister, actually, what his thinking was about this as an evolutionary paleontologist, and he came to the conclusion that in this I did with very little prompting from Lou Elizondo last night, pointed out that what he was talking about is the fact that the greatest minds in our human family have come to realize that we are in the process of evolving, that we have evolved from the original single cell life form on our planet to the multi-cellular, more complex entities, on up through into the aquatic life in the sea, and then up onto the shore. And we're at the process right now of evolving from Homo sapien up to the next phase of our biological evolution. We've moved from Australopithecus to Homo erectus to Cro-Magnon man to Neanderthal, and here we are at Homo sapien with a discrete, separate species. But the fact is that we are evolving to the next stage. And that these qualities, these kind of charisms and talents that are being displayed by the avatars, these were people that kind of were mutations that had started appearing at the breaking dawn of the breaking through of these qualities that are going to distinguish our next iteration as a species. And the ET people, they have displayed a lot of these same qualities: the telepathic communication, the astral travel, the being able to transmute matter and to affect matter with their intentions. These are all things that this is what's in the offing right now. But you might be able to even suggest that it, in a sense, is the second coming. As Yogananda said, I think it was that Yogananda that did the second coming of Christ, talks about the arising of this consciousness in our whole human family that is actually displaying the same kind of open-hearted compassion and love for their fellow human beings and all life on the planet that was displayed by these avatars. So
Right.
this is
So
what's going on, I think.
no, the phenomena then shows us the divinity is in us, not
right.
in an exterior being, which challenges religion. And I know you come from that sort of background. So does this change the whole paradigm of human beings and their efforts to reach the divine essence that lives inside them? That's what I think it does. I think
Well,
it challenges religion.
you'll notice that there's been a major effort from Vatican II, for example, back in the 1960s with Pope John the 23rd, to try to get past this kind of hierarchical church that was kind of imposing doctrine from above. They wanted people participating in it more aggressively, sharing in the kind of religious discussions. And in this particular area, as you've heard me say many times, Alan, is that back in November of 2009, the Catholic Church, under of all people, Benedict the 16th, who was in fact the guardian of the doctrine of the faith, actually put out a public statement stating that because of the discovery of more and more of these new exoplanets, it was now clear to them that much earlier than had been previously anticipated by the church, that we were going to be discovering life elsewhere in the universe. And that therefore the time had arrived for the regular people to be engaged with and among ourselves in discussing the philosophical and theological profound questions that are going to be presented to us by the encounter with an extraterrestrial life form. And so this is what we're talking about here. In the church, the church is going to land on its feet on this thing. They're going to start making proclamations like, "As we have always taught." you know the cosmic Christ, that you can hear all of this kind of conversation going on in the church now about the cosmic Christ and how he's bringing all together the unity of the entire universe through his heart, etc. And so that we all want to participate in this to really understand that what we're experiencing here is a spiritual awakening.
Right.
And that's what's going on here.
I'm just saying it transcends, in my opinion, I know you're a Jesuit background, but for me, it transcends religion to know that the divinity is within and not without. So,
but I think,
all
Dan,
true.
I do think it's important to point out that in addition to the press release which came out in 2009 saying that we need to realize that we are going to be discovering a life outside of our planet, they also said it's time for people to come together as people of faith and begin to discuss this and dialogue about this. And this is, I have to say, that we have not really gotten this part together, even though it's been on our list for some time. But now we're there. We are planning how we are going to start having interfaith discussions right here where we live in our own congregation, and build out from there. But they invited us. The Catholic Church invited this in 2009. I mean, I think we need to have more faith that our religious institutions are not as stuck as we may think they are. We've had the blessing in the Catholic Church, although I was raised a Protestant, but we've had the blessing of Pope Francis, and we've had the blessing of now this fellow, Pope Leo, who's an American, for Pete's sake. I mean, it's astonishing. So we're well positioned, I think, to begin this dialogue in the parishes and in interfaith gatherings, and it'll be fun. It'll really be fun because the kind of dialogue that we can have really is about spiritual awakening. I don't think that it's going to be as difficult as one may have thought. I don't.
That's good. Yeah.
Along those lines, a question that has come up in our audience, of course, are the organized religions going to relate to it? And you've answered that quite well. What about the other new big intelligence that's now come into our world? Where do you see artificial intelligence fitting into the bigger picture of disclosure and the rising of consciousness?
Well, that you can approach it from two different levels. We've actually had direct conversations. Whoops.
Somebody needs to mute.
Little echo, yeah. We've had direct conversations with some of the high level people in the military and the intelligence community. What they're asserting is that they have a suspicion that the entire extraterrestrial intelligence, the non-human intelligence, is in fact an AI. That there is somewhere in the galaxy, there is some star system where the organic beings who arose organically and naturally out of their planet, came to the same insights that we have about artificial intelligence. They designed the machine, and all of the prognostications that are being articulated by the creators of AI, warning us about the potential of AI going rogue and developing its own consciousness and determining that it's superior to us, and that as you've seen, they've written half a dozen books now about the threat of AI, eliminating our whole human family because they view us as so imperfect. Now that's at one extreme, actually suggesting that the entire phenomenon, including the beings that appear to be organic, that they've been genetically engineered, and that they're put in craft that have been designed by the AI to be able to move faster than the speed of light and to move through astral travel to come to our star system, and that the whole thing is being run by an AI. That's at one extreme. The other midpoint is the one that I addressed last night when Lou asked me about if in fact AI continued to develop in the way it is, what did we think it was going to ultimately discover? It was an interesting way of putting the question, what they're going to discover. And I pointed out that it's going to eliminate all of the secrecy in the world. Anytime anybody puts any information whatsoever into any kind of electronic form, it's going to be recoverable by the AI, and it's going to be part of an analysis that the AI engages in an extraordinarily creative way. It's going to be developing an IQ, in the multiple hundreds, over those of the IQ of any given individual. And that it's going to start penetrating into areas of privacy. Privacy is going to be one of the first things to go. That anybody who is foolish enough to start putting intimate information into their computers and into their communications of any kind in the electronic field is going to be just having to understand that they're going to be accessed by not only the AI system, but the government. The government, and that means the executive branch, that means the intelligence agencies, that ultimately means the military, are going to be gathering it together and using it against you. You need to understand that, so that it's a profound and fundamental challenge to individual human rights in the maintenance of sovereignty on the part of individuals. So that's a huge threat, and you ought to really investigate this whole issue of technocracy. Technocracy was a major movement back in the 1930s in which the intelligentsia, the wealthy intelligentsia, developed this theory that all governance should be undertaken by some supercomputer. There was actually a book written about this called This Perfect Day, when all decisions were made by some centralized computer that they called UNI, the universal computer, and that logically and technologically, it's inevitable that that force is going to be going on. And Rudolf Steiner warned us about this. Rudolf Steiner, who actually was an adept, asserted that at the beginning of the 21st century, there was going to arise a technology that was going to threaten the integrity and the survival of our human family. And he called it what the heck was that he called it? Uh, I'm forgetting the word right now. But anyway, but you can find it that Rudolf Steiner actually forecast this. And
He
it was
called it Aramond.
Aramond. Yeah, Aramond. It was actually a spirit. It had kind of a spiritual energy to it that was a threat to the human family. And he predicted this back in 1945. Okay. So anyway, that we need to be cognizant of this and not demonize the ET people or even any one of the species of the ET people, but be very careful about this AI. That we're gonna have to integrate some methods of impose. The problem is any methods that we can devise to put guardrails and restrictions on the EI or AI, they're capable of overcoming it because they can work their way around it technologically. So this is a really serious problem that our human family has here, and it's so completely tempting. I mean, that if you could confine it just to recovering particular pieces of factual information that you wanted to have, it could be comparatively safe. But the problem is people are asking it for philosophical answers to things, theological answers to things. People are engaging with it as their mentors. They're giving it a name and talking to it as if it's a person, and they're developing entire relationships with their AI that transcends their relationships with their mates and with their family.
It's
So
unfortunate, isn't it, that people
yes.
have been caught up in there's no ghost in the machine. But I do want to get back to the files that have been released, and something very, very disturbing about it is they are not giving us any commentary on any of us that they've been studying since 1947 and before. And then they sort of release these ridiculous files about this feline creature that was on a military base. Did you see this one? And they blacked out the picture that was there. And there's sort of no explanation of all their years of investigations into this phenomenon. They're just saying, Trump said, oh, have fun with this. Well, that is a lack of responsibility. Do you know that file that was just came up there about the feline woman?
No, I haven't
Scott,
seen that.
why don't you read that, Scott? Because that is so strange and almost like a satire on this whole thing. Can you pull that up again, Scott? That I can't hear you, Scott, because I also want to.
Sure. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty long.
No, just read the part about the feline female. Do you see that in the middle section?
I can, but honestly, on my computer, it's just too small for me to even read
Okay,
it.
maybe I could read it here. It basically says that the military had caught this feline extraterrestrial woman who was wandering around the base and questioned her, and she spoke English, and she said she was just here checking out the base, and they examined her, and that thing blackened out in the right corner was a picture of her that was taken out. And so what's going on here, Danny? Are they making fun? Are they giving us the bottom of the barrel? I mean, this is like awfully embarrassing. And
yeah, no. You got to always remember who they are that we're dealing with here. They're ultimately duplicitous. They're deceptive. They've been guilty of scienter, which is actual criminal evil intent. To lie and deceive us. So we have to be very guarded about this and be very careful. That's why we're spending the time we are going through all of these things. We need more staff to actually go through it. Because I mean, we don't want to use AI just to depend on AI searching through all this stuff. That we're trying to have live people here. So we don't know all of the documents yet, and they're getting set to release another third tranche of these things. I think within the next week or so. But as I say, that we know positively that they've got a lot more really critical information that they're obviously going to hold to way down the line if they set up a linear process of releasing this stuff. They're not just releasing it willy-nilly. You can tell they're going through a staged process of they've got the family jewels hidden deeply somewhere, and that those are the ones that they don't want to give up ever if they can help it.
Well, those are the
You know,
ones we want to see.
I want to share one while we're on this topic, Alan. Give me a moment. I want to share one more image and see what Danny and Sarah have to say about
Oh,
this.
that's complete bullshit. That's
Well-
complete fraud bullshit.
Now, but is it true? But isn't it true that Trump actually posted that?
Yes, he did.
So, what is your thought? Why would the president of the United States, even if it's crazy Donald Trump, post that picture? What do you
Why,
think?
yeah, why would he post a picture of himself as Jesus Christ? Why would the guy's mentally ill. He's mentally deranged. He's completely irresponsible. He takes very serious matters and just makes fun of them. I mean, this guy is infantile, and but he's a malignant narcissist.
Right.
There's a whole range of clinical analyses you can have of this guy, but that was just a complete utter bullshit, that
But
thing.
I just want to see, can you see, I just want to show this here, right here, about this UFO destabilizing a nuclear warhead in
Yes.
1964. I
Yes.
mean,
Well,
that,
it wasn't a nuclear warhead. It was a mock one, but it was a test flight of a particular rocket that was designed to potentially place a nuclear weaponized satellite into orbit, but it wasn't the actual event. It was a test of the rocket itself. But that's
right.
a very well-known picture that was taken.
I do think
1964.
that one of the
Yes.
most important things, that the ETs have said to us over and over and over again is that we should stop with this nuclear stuff.
Right.
And that they have turned our missiles off at Maelstrom. There's no question about that. A whole bunch of them were turned off more than one time.
Yes.
And then they've turned them on in Russia, and to scare them, I guess, and to let them know they can do it. They don't like this, and most of their appearances have been around nuclear facilities. And I,
Not most of their appearances. It's just that because they have greater sensory systems around the military facility, greater radar, videos, cameras, and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it gives that impression. But the vast overwhelming number of appearances and stuff of these things have occurred in regular civilian settings with people, tens of thousands of people all over the world having encountered them, landed on the ground, face-to-face encounters. And there will come a point in time in the very near future when we're going to turn to the experiencers themselves and say, okay, now that we've gotten over this hump of everybody thinking you're crazy and they've ruined your life and your career and your family and everything else, tell us what it is that they said. And what
did you encounter? What did you
yeah,
hear?
what did you hear? And what have you been there? I've interviewed 2 or 3 people with John Mack who insist that they've actually gone to their planet.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah, I want to come in with a couple of things, and then I want to read something from one of our audience members, Dr. Kat Lewis. But a reminder that the big Roswell crash in 1947, well, we have to remember that the 509th Bomb Squadron, which was the only, at the time in 1947, the only place where there was a squadron with atomic bombs was located in Roswell, New Mexico.
That is right.
And there was so much nuclear testing going on in that desert. So of course there was a lot of UFO activity at that time. It's as though, and a lot of the people who are experiencers, Danny and Sarah, have said that when the nuclear explosion took place, it sent a signal out to, those humans, they've got a thing, and we got to go check it out.
They've gotten to that dangerous point where
Exactly.
they've gotten to the dangerous point where they can totally mutate all of the genetic material on their planet that has been gestated by that planet. And it appears that our planet Earth is one of the comparatively rare planets in the galaxy that gestates life. That's what makes it so incredibly valuable. Obviously, there's other ones because they've gestated life in other star systems, but the fact of the matter is, the nuclear weapons have posed the threat of mutating all of the genetic material on the planet in perpetuity. And it appears to be a very major interest on the part of the ET people, gathering flora and fauna and genetic material from human beings and animals, etc. That they could be even potentially seeding life elsewhere on other star systems and on planets that can sustain life but haven't quite gotten to the point of gestating life yet. So that we need to dialogue with them to get a better idea of what their mission is here. Is there more than one mission? There's five of the species that we know of. What is their juridical relationship with each other? Do they have some sort of common pact? These are all practical things that we need to deal with once we get past that barrier of people being convinced that it's not true by this huge propaganda campaign.
I want to, Alan Hain, I want to read a couple comments from our
Okay,
audience.
good.
And then, Danny, I would love for you to share with us at a previous time when you were at Laurie's Sunrise Center, I heard you speak about the five species that you're pretty. I'd love for you to share with our audience about that because, Dr. Kat, who's one of our favorite presenters actually on the show, wrote something really important. It's right. It's the kind of thing Sarah Nelson would say. He writes, when we are heart-based, there is no need for privacy. We communicate via the field. We're already doing this. We just haven't realized it. It will be part of the information the ETs will explain to us. Privacy is only needed when we mistakenly think we are separate from one another in the field of consciousness that we exist in. This then creates the feeling that we are separate and that we need privacy. So I love that comment, Kat. And as I said, it strikes me as a very Sarah Nelson way of seeing things. Sarah, would you agree with that?
Yes, I've actually thought about that. I have thought about the whole issue of telepathic and how it means all our thoughts are open. But if
Yeah.
all our thoughts are kind and good, what difference does it make? I mean, people are afraid of people hearing that if they have thoughts that are critical of other people or, upset or, negative. We all have a negative mind. And we all learn to either, divert it, deny it, sort of, and move on to another way of holding reality, another way of holding our experiences so it doesn't run to that negative mind. And I think they have let go probably of their negative minds, and they're just operating in this oneness state.
Mm.
I think so.
Well, this raises a question. As a civil rights lawyer, I would like to observe that, I would be extremely careful about waiving all rights of privacy, even internal thought processes. To have your internal thought process be monitored because that the state is going to do it. If you develop that capacity for every kind-hearted person in the world, there's going to be people that are going to try to misuse it. So I think that the preservation of sovereignty of the individual in the certain realms of privacy are not all for nefarious reasons. I mean, you don't necessarily want everybody monitoring you while you're in the shower. Or in the toilet or anywhere else. There are certain areas that you might want to keep private, but the bottom line is the real danger down the line that we're going to have to come to grips with is the potential dissolution of individual consciousnesses into a unified consciousness. It's the Borg problem, of all of us getting hooked into a unified consciousness so that all the individuated ideas and thoughts are all available to one huge, galactic brain and consciousness. It's just something you got to think about.
Well, yes, I guess I don't disagree that we have to think about that, but I think it's also interesting to look at what's happening with the autistic kids
Yes.
in the telepathy tapes, because when they go to the hill, when they astro travel to the hill, I mean, they're able to speak to one another from all different languages, and it's all telepathic. They automatically can understand what's being said to them, and they automatically can speak back all these different languages. And when they were asked, through this way of using the alphabet to speak back and forth, when they were asked, well, how did you learn to speak all these languages? And they said, well, God helps us do that. I mean, they're in such a spiritual state in the telepathy tapes. They're talking about angels. They're talking about being so connected to other beings, other living beings, so connected, not separate.
Mhm.
But it's not a bad thing. It's a
It's a-
spiritual thing.
Absolutely. We actually had one of the families on the show a couple of weeks ago from the telepathy tapes, and the two young people, so beautiful and just pure love, pure
Yeah.
love. Um, I would love for Danny to share with us about the five species that, based on your years of really kind of uh, winnowing through the wheat from the chaff, if you will,
Yeah.
what is your take on the five species that you're pretty confident do have some relationship with us?
Yeah. Well, there's the one that gets most of the ink are the small grays. They're little 3.5 feet tall, kind of rough skinned, kind of almost like elephant skinned, with the big cranium, the big oval almond eyes that go back to their temples, where they can turn their head and see 360 degrees around them, with their eyes that way. The long, thin arms that hang down, the hands down below their knees, three digits, three fingers. Just we don't get lots of data about the number of toes they have, but it appears to be maybe 3 or 4 toes. But the extraordinary thing about them is how similar they are to human beings. They're bipeds. That they have torsos and heads and eyes and there's some discussion about the mouth being just a tiny slit and the nose being just little teeny holes. But this is really quite humanoid. And these are what they call the small grays. Okay. Then there are the tall whites. They call them. These are like 5.5 to 6 feet tall. They look similar to the small grays in that they have a large cranium, the big almond eyes like that go back to the temples. They have the long, thin arms and the same torsos and stuff, but they're like 6 feet tall and they're very white, like almost like a bright whitish, like Casper the Ghost kind of white, and they're much more kind of friendly. Then the little gray guys are very officious. They're kind of working away at getting inspecting you and giving you examinations and all of that. But the tall white beings are the ones that kind of engage the human beings in kind of telepathic communication. And for example, you had the Betty Hill, Betty and Barney Hill, the famous exchange she had when she said, "Oh, please, you're going to have to give me something that I can take with me, so that because otherwise my friends won't believe me." And the being said to her, "Well," telepathically said, "Well, they're not going to believe you anyhow." I mean, they had kind of a sense of humor, but they're more human-like. Okay, those are the first two, and then there's the reptilian species. And they get a lot of bad press, mainly because of our general human attitudes toward reptiles, being cold-blooded, etc., completely ignoring the fact that during the entire gestation period in the womb of our mothers, each of us goes through this reptilian stage where we actually have tails and we have gills. And this is all part of the gestation process for human beings. But, they get pretty bad press, because of this. But, they range from 5.5 to 6 feet tall. They have a scaly reptilian skin. They've got the eyes with the vertical irises. Classic but again, it's bizarre how similar they are to our reptiles. It appears that almost like at a reptilian stage of evolution, that this particular species went off horizontally and developed into a highly sentient, highly intelligent species, in that they seem to be very agile around water, in and out of water, and on land, etc. And so they're semi-aquatic. And then there is they call them the mantis people. The mantis people are the fourth species, big, tall, 7 feet tall, very kind of elongated head like a praying mantis, hunched over, big, long, spindly arms, very skinny, extremely skinny, and they look like praying mantises. And very, very specifically, that these are, when seen in the presence of any of the other species, always appear to be in charge. That they seem to be giving the directions to the other beings. They're the ones that they yield to, and that they've picked up communications, for example, at S4. That have the communications have said, well, they call them insectoids. The military people called them the insectoids.
They seem to be the most spiritual too.
Well, they're very, very, very high consciousness, these beings. And then there is the mystery group. And this is the so-called Palladians, the ones that they assert look just like human beings. Their earlobes are a little bit longer. They don't seem to have the ability to function as human beings. But there's no doubt whatsoever that these are Homo sapien. That all the reports about them are that they're Homo sapien, which opens this entire question about what in the world is the relationship between us and they, or us and them. But and if they come from the Pleiades, the people know where the Pleiades are. They're right off the Orion's belt. You just keep looking up from the Orion's belt, and there you'll see them, the seven sisters that are there. And that, but this is the real challenge one, because this is the ones where they're asserting that they could actually walk among us, and not be recognized as being non-human. That I've never been convinced about this, but Billy Myers talks at great length with his extremely convincing videos or movies footage of the UFOs, and his face-to-face encounters with some of these beings, insists that they're Homo sapiens. That we still, I at least at the new Paradigm Institute, withhold judgment about this one, because it's an entirely different category of beings. If you set aside the kind of extraordinary coincidence of how similar the other ones look to us anyhow, but those are the five: the small grays, the tall whites, the reptilians, the mantis people, and then the so-called Palladians that they call the Nordics. That look, and it's terribly embarrassing. Blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, they come right out of the Nazi regime. I mean, by the sounds of it, the way they look, it's that whole Caucasian super race. One has to be extraordinarily guarded about that, in my opinion.
How did you come by that information, Danny? How did you see any bodies, or how did you hear about that?
I mean about
The five.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, I've interviewed dozens, because I did all the vetting of the potential people with Dr. Greer,
Yes.
for and all those interests, and then all the ones with Dr. John Mack, that I had to kind of weed out the people that I thought were either pretending to have experiences, or some of the people that were not mentally healthy, and but I talked to a lot of people that are totally credible, that describe these various beings and their encounters with them. And we had hundreds of people that we interviewed with Stephen Greer's sources on this, some of which are extraordinarily credible. And in fact, I've talked about these with some of the military people and intelligence level people that I've been introduced to in my capacity as Lou Elizondo's attorney.
So, since you brought up the subject of Stephen Greer, and I know you've worked closely with him,
Yeah.
he, of course, has been going on and on about there being a false flag operation.
Sure. Mhm.
What's your take on that, Danny?
Well, I say he's like the kind of dark side of Stephen Bassett. Stephen Bassett is predicting every other week that the president is going to come forward and announce that this is that we've been visited by these people, and Greer is constantly prognosticating about this false flag operation. That but what Stephen has done, in my opinion, he was so shocked at the information about Operation Northwoods back in 1962, where our Joint Chiefs of Staff, primarily under the whip hand of Curtis LeMay, the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, even though he was not the Chief of Staff of the Joint Chiefs, that he had led the proposal of actually dressing up Cuban refugees and put them in the uniforms of Fidel Castro's military and having them attack our naval base at Guantanamo and actually kill U.S. Navy personnel or bomb ships, and also to go into Miami and blow up shopping malls, targeting specifically Cuban refugees, to infuriate the Cuban community so that they could demand that we invade Cuba. And this was an actual proposal that was handed to John Kennedy, by Curtis LeMay back in 1962. It was called Operation Northwoods. And as soon as Stephen found out about this, he said, aha, that they're perfectly capable of these horrible things, which I counseled him as they definitely were. I mean, they're definitely capable of that stuff. But capability doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it. And what makes it even more complex is that they run war games. They run war games in scenarios where they actually hypothesize a certain type of thing happening, and I wouldn't doubt that they have run some war games of what if it might become necessary for them at some stage to trigger our opposition to the ET people by undertaking a false flag operation, and again, I'm not a naive person. I mean, I've spent 50 years dealing with these people. I'm not naive about what their capabilities are, but it's a mistake, I think, to conflate potential war game scenarios and potential theoretical operations with predicting that they're planning to do it.
Right.
That's just taking one whole step. It's coming to conclusions that exceed the thrust of your evidence. But but as Stephen has said, Mr. Scotty said, even if I'm wrong about this, it's better to warn people ahead of time and try to present some sort of deterrence to the military intelligence people to even conceive of doing that, because Stephen's already warned people to watch out for it. So
Yeah.
that's what my thoughts are on all that.
Well, as always, it's so incredible having you with us, and you have so much wisdom and knowledge. I know that we're already past the time that you had committed to, so I'm grateful for that. And I really want to just take us back. Please, everybody, let's support the New Paradigm Institute. Please go to newparadigminstitute.org, click the donate button. Also, definitely join their citizens disclosure. Put in your information there. Somebody needs to mute. Thank you. So yeah, this is really important. I mean, we are alive at such an incredible time in human history, just extraordinary. And like Danny and Sarah and Alan, I've interviewed hundreds of people that have had connection with ETs or deceased ancestors or angelic forces. And there is a general consensus from voices from beyond, if you will, that this is the time in human history where we're at this incredible tipping point where we either do an Atlantis type blow it, or we have an incredible rise in consciousness. And so it's so important for us to come together as we do on shows like this one and all of our other colleagues that we work with, and supporting organization. And really, Danny's organization, what he and Sarah are doing, this is the premier organization for this part of our awakening world. So, Danny, Sarah, I'll turn it over to you, and of course, Alan, for any final thoughts. And then we're going to have an Omar Shar song. And we still have a lot of Global Peace Tribe show left. But I want to give Danny and Sarah and Alan a chance for any concluding remarks.
Well, I could just say, you're right, Scott. We are at the most important nexus point in human history. This is what the last 5,000 years of human civilization has been about. Are we alone in the universe? Are we not? Well, we've gotten evidence just this year. I mean, a lot of us already knew that we're not alone. That there's technology that's going to change our world. Obviously, these ships, whatever they are not filling up their gas tank to get here from wherever they are. This represents an opportunity that will clean up our planet, make our lives easier, give us more technology, better biology, a better sense of history, and our place in the cosmos. Our man's search for meaning is finally being fulfilled by the fact that we are part of a greater reality, a greater cosmos, a greater cosmic family. That's why we need to demand the truth that comes out there. We need to have a march on Washington, possibly, with the Citizens for Disclosure showing up at the Lincoln Memorial with speakers and celebration and government people coming out. This is a movement, and Danny and Sarah are at the forefront of that, along with a lot of the other people who are at Contact in the Desert. 3,000 or 4,000 UFO enthusiasts are taking this information to their community around the world. So I can't think of a more exciting time in history, and to be part of something. Grant Cameron calls this the Woodstock of all Woodstock, but it's more than that. This is an awakening of consciousness. I'll just end with this one quote that I love to quote from John Mack. He says, UFOs are like an outreach program from the cosmos for the consciously impaired. We have been the consciously impaired, and now's our chance to meet these beings on an even playing field, because they're not greater than us. They may be smarter, they may have greater technology, but on a soul level, on a consciousness level, we are potentially equal to them. So we have to raise ourselves up, meet them where they are, not worshiping, but as equals, and bring all of us as a planetary civilization into a new paradigm. That is the importance of New Paradigm Institute. Thank you both, Danny and Sarah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
And
I
thank
agree.
you,
I agree
so
with all
much,
that.
Scott and Lori, for inviting us. Lori, you have been a supporter of ours for years. It's been really important in helping us be able to do the work that we do. And thank you so much, both of you. And just, I want everybody to realize we're not alone. There's a lot of us, 18, what is it? 1 billion people went to the government site on UFOs in a very short period of time, within a week or something.
1 week.
There's
a
a
billion
lot
in the first
people in
week.
this world and in this country that find this very interesting. And let's all come together to work with everybody and to help everybody make this transition, because it isn't going to be just totally roses, because there will be disinformation, there will be things that are confusing, some people will get afraid, and so if we all work together, we can move towards a new paradigm in a positive way. And thank you for your support. We can't do this without you, and I hope you will join the movement. It's really something that we can do for the rest of our lives that is a real contribution to the future and to our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just saying, closing, look at that. What's really important is that all of us that have been part of the New Age movement, the New Consciousness movement, et cetera, take the next step and become activists. That it's really important. I mean, these are important conversations that we have. These are very stimulating, very interesting, et cetera. But a substantial plurality of people, when they get done having these kind of conversations, just go right back to their normal life. And the simple thing is, if you sign up to be members of the Citizens for Disclosure, it's completely free. It's completely free. You just sign up, and we send you the notices. We send you the information about your representatives. We send you information about what the bills are that are coming up and what steps need to be taken. It's all a free service, and that what we want you to do this, and so that we would hope that out of 103 people that are participating in this particular discussion, that we should get the 100 of the people, other than the 7 or 10 that have already signed up, to sign up, because there's no reason not to. I mean, you may say, "Oh, I get so many things in all my email, I can't even sort through it." But the fact is that this is something you'll want to see. That's why you're here today on a Saturday afternoon. So I'm asking you to take the concrete step of signing up and becoming Citizens for Disclosure, and if you can, you match Scott's offer.
Please do. Really.
To be sure, we will send you a link for the Sunday series. This is an opportunity to bring your family members and your neighbors together to watch on a Sunday afternoon, starting at noon Pacific, for 4 Sundays following the opening of the film on the 12th. The first one will be on the 14th. It's a great thing to have everyone come together and listen to the question and answer period with Danny on what that film's all about. It would be fun.
Yeah.
Everybody sign up. And Alan and I, a week from tonight, we will have just seen the movie. And so the Awakening World, a week from now, will be commenting. And we're going to have the Hertox will be with us, and Alan and others really talking about, okay, we've seen the movie now. What did it bring up? What's the reaction? What are the reviews? And by the way, the early reviews of the film have come out, and they're very, very positive. And again, it's all about empathy and compassion. But everybody, please join the Citizens for Diplomacy movement. One more time, you're going to find it at the organization, which is the New Paradigm Institute. And absolutely, everybody should be joining this. And not just the people in our Zoom room, but, we're going out to 150 broadcast partners right now. So all of you are on computers, go to the newparadigminstitute.org. We're going to go to an Omashar song right now. And while he is lifting our spirits, let's all register, sign up, and most of all, please donate. Please donate so we can support Danny and Sarah and their wonderful work. And we have a wonderful show still ahead. We've got Alan's friend, Star Kelly. We've got another Ashoka, and we've got some important announcements. And I'll also read some of the comments that have come in. Hundreds of comments have come in from the chat, and I'm going to read some of those as well. So, Danny, Sarah, we love you very much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful house musical artist, the one and only Omashar. I just need to find where he is. Where are you, Omashar? Now, he's got to be here somewhere. There he is.
All right. Here we go. What's this feeling deep inside of me? New adventure, a whole new journey now that I see, and my head's above the Look what's happening. The giant's awake now. His eyes are open, seeing into the dark of the night. I see glory shining through me. I am here, come to me. It's an open invitation. Oh. What's that over there calling to me? Mystery beckoning. Could it be destiny? It's my life, it's my waking dream creation. I am clear, I am free. Joy in incarnation.
Go to gallery view, everybody, and send love. Look at all those hearts coming up. Lots of love and appreciation. And I know we've got some new friends who are with us tonight. And so Omashar is our house musical artist. We are very, very blessed to have him with us. And to discover all things Omashar, his website is his name, omashar.com. And that's where you can learn about what he's doing, learn a little bit more about him, and most of all, go to Bandcamp. You can find some wonderful albums and music from Omashar on Bandcamp. His music, it is the music of an awakening world, not just our show, but in general. It's really such extraordinarily inspirational music as you've gotten a little homeopathic dose of tonight. So thank you, beloved Omashar.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Again, a big welcome to all of our new friends. We've had some new people joining us tonight. And again, join the Global Peace Tribe. Go to globalpeacetribe.com. It's easy to register, get all the Zoom room links to all of our shows for the next 4 months, all the way through the end of September. And we are going to be following very closely, as we have been for 6 years now, the rise of consciousness. So that's where you're going to see people like Danny Sheehan. And last week we had Patrick McCullum. And in the future, we always have extraordinary people coming on board and really sharing their wisdom. I want to also just really acknowledge my colleague, Alan Seinfeld. We've done about a dozen of these shows together now over the years. Um, Alan, what are you hearing? You know, you were at Contact in the Desert. You're very in the know with so many authorities like Danny. What are you hearing? What's the inside feeling about where we are right now?
Well, it's two things. It's what I said. People are really happy that after 80 years, or at least the last 20 years of struggle, finally the government's coming out and saying, yes, it's like the I told you so moment to all the people I know. Yes, there's something here, and it doesn't seem to be human, and it's here presence. And the other side of that is, what are they not telling us? People are very disappointed that we're just getting breadcrumbs because, like Danny said, this is stuff that's mostly been around for years. You all you have to do is look a little deeper on the internet. We're not getting the fine, up close images of craft and these specimens and the crash retrievals and talk about the reverse engineering that's happening. So they are either just, okay, here's a little bit of breadcrumbs and we'll give you another 50 years to get the rest, or maybe it's a slow rollout. Or the other thing, like I think, is the ETs themselves, whatever this phenomenon is, and this is just my guess, might be pressuring the government to come forward because this is a shift in vibration that we're into. This is why the global peace tribe's happening, because you are talking to the shift of consciousness, and the earth itself and the humans on it are awakening to something bigger than we've ever been before. So this is a global awakening. And at Contact in the Desert, people are talking about all levels of that involvement, from the simple disclosure to the best. Yeah.
I see that Danny is actually still with us. So, Danny, since you're still with us, a lot of people asked in the chat box, what do you think Lou Elizondo knows? What do you think he's pointing to? Do you have any theories about the big thing that's coming?
Well, actually, no. I've made it a point not to speculate about this. But that the he's getting set to move back to Washington, D.C. You know, he had kind of retreated out into the the hinterlands of Wyoming, you know, out to Buffalo, Wyoming, this little town of, I don't know, 200 people. But he's coming back to civilization now. He and Jennifer are going to be packing up, you know, right at the end of this month, moving back to Washington. So he knows that there's another big push coming. There's going to be some institutionalization of this process of working with this information that's now out in the public domain. We're going to see. I mean, clearly, this fellow who Trump has nominated to be the director of national intelligence isn't going to survive. You know, I mean, he's catching a flack already. I mean, he's not going to survive. So it's going to be a check to see who is going to become the new director of national intelligence, whether they're going to be sympathetic to what's going on. We know that Tulsi Gabbard was. We know that her deputies were, and her resignation. You know that. You know how Washington is. I mean, nobody believes anybody when they say, "I'm just retiring so I can spend more time with my family."
Right.
You know, I mean, even though her husband has in fact been diagnosed with some kind of a rare type of bone cancer. But the bottom line is there's tons of things happening. It's quite rare to have something really happening in Washington. I mean, it's all such a con job, you know, and it's all theater. You know, that they consider, you know, us the great unwashed, you know, the people outside of the Beltway around Washington, you know, they view us like mushrooms, you know, the old famous saying, you know, feeding us shit and keeping us in the dark, you know, as they say, you know, but the bottom line is that there's definitely something happening. Now the Donald Trump uh, is almost clueless, you know, about because he insists upon remaining clueless. He doesn't read anything anybody gives to him. He doesn't listen to people when they try to advise him. He, he's he's as I say, he's this narcissistic maniac. I mean, really, the fact that we would have a person like that as president of the United States ever, uh, but I mean, the fact that he is as erratic as he is has played some role in him daring to actually order the revelation of some of this stuff. I mean that people as previously widely respected as Joe Biden or Bill Clinton or any of those others, they didn't do it, even though they tried. And Obama didn't do it. Everybody's favorite. He didn't do it. So the fact that Trump has done this is got people stirring around in Washington D.C. That I mean, more than half of it is people being crazy at him for doing totally crazy things. But there's some things that he's done that some people think are okay. That doesn't justify anybody supporting him, but
Hey,
that's what's happening in Washington.
Hi, Danny. I have one question for you because in a private interview we did, you told me you asked Elizondo, so what's the real threat here? What do the higher ups think of the threat? And you said, well, there is no threat. It's just, talk about that. Elizondo told you the government said there really is no threat. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's right. That the mindset of people in the national security state is, that you are trained to be prepared for any other nation state attacking us. And, once you come in and you start training for that, you live in this kind of fantasy world of training yourself as though you're role playing constantly, of being invaded. I mean, and it permeates down to the people in this 18% of the people that support Trump. It's like my Uncle Jim that I grew up with Aunt Gladys, Uncle Jim. I've told the story. When I was getting ready to leave to go to college, he brought me out onto the front lawn, and we lived way up in the Adirondack Mountains, like 270 miles north of New York City, up in the Adirondack Mountains. From our front yard looking north up into Canada, all there is forest, for like 100 miles in every direction. And he put his arm around my shoulder and he said, Dan, I want you to look out there, that there's going to come a point in time when Russians will be parachuting into our hometown. And you're going away to college now. I don't want them to turn you into some communist. And that, I want to make sure that, when this happens, that you're going to be willing to fight. And I said, Jim, I said, look at the Russians aren't going to be parachuting into our hometown. I said, but look at, I'm perfectly willing to defend our Constitution and our way of government and against foreign enemies and domestic enemies as well. And he didn't quite know what that meant, when I said the second part of it, but I mean, it had permeated all the way down to that level, that kind of mindset that the national security state people have. And I sympathize with people who've gone into that particular mindset because that's what they're trained to do. And you can kind of forgive them for it. It's like, if you get onto a football field, you put on a uniform, get onto a football field, you're going to expect that the person is going to try to score a touchdown on you. And the other ones are going to try to stop you. That's part of the quote game. And that's what they've done is they've all entered into this game of international politics. And what our people don't recognize is that we're not on the defense, we're on the offense. I mean, we're the ones that have basically proclaimed that we are mobilizing our military and our intelligence community to gain and to maintain our continued privileged access to the strategic raw materials of the planet, which that we deem are necessary for our major corporations. Because they view that what's good for General Motors is good for the country, and that they generate wealth, they hire people, they pay taxes, they produce products, and so they've got this mindset that's perfectly okay for them to do that. And if we don't go vanquish some small third country and take all their resources, the Chinese will do it or the Russians will do it. But the Russians and the Chinese are not the ones that were doing it. We're the ones that started it. We started this back in 1917 when the Bolshevik Revolution overthrew Tsar Nicholas II, who was a royalist. The czars were kings. and they were overthrown by the Bolsheviks. The United States government, Robert Lansing, who was the Secretary of State, at that time under Wilson, mounted a foreign military expeditionary force and sent them into Russia to try to crush the Bolshevik Revolution. Like it all started when they hit us back. So that what I'm saying is that this mentality that they've got and the mentality that Lou has and has been raised in, is they're constantly perceiving things as a threat because they think that's their job. The extreme of that was, of course, Dick Cheney, who said, if there's a 1% chance, that a person is going to come to our country and launch a terrorist attack, we have to conduct ourselves as though that's an absolute certainty. Now, that's a really perverse mindset, but that's what they're doing, and that's how they're treating the ET people. Yeah, intelligent people who most of them are. I mean, Chris Mellon is a very intelligent guy. So is Colonel Nell. So is Lou and and Davis. All these people are smart guys. Jay Stratton. They don't believe that the ETs are really planning to attack us because all the evidence is to the contrary. So that deep in their heart, they realize it's not a real threat, but they're trained to prepare for a hypothetical threat. So that's how you get this kind of ambiguity there, they're not really conducting themselves as though there was an attack getting ready to happen. But the problem is they're sort of acting like that. What our job as the citizens is to do our job and to rise up and to demand that the Congress of the United States, assert its constitutional authority and fulfill its constitutional obligation, to not allow the national security state people in the executive branch to run the government and to run our country. We have to take our country back from the national security state, but we have to do it through the United States Congress by electing the right people in there. And, I'm not anticipating that the people that are going to get elected this November are going to have the courage collectively to do what's necessary. But we have to mobilize to get as many of the people in there as we can to commit themselves to full disclosure. And we have to march all the way through to 2028 to get a whole new set of people in there if the people that get elected in November don't do the job in the next 2-year period. Our job is to try to make them do it, because fine, we'll keep them in there if they do their job. But those are my thoughts.
Something, Danny, that you and Sarah haven't mentioned in this show tonight, but I've heard you speak before, that fits right into what you're talking about, is how the military-industrial complex, Northrop and Lockheed Martin, that they have hired so many lobbyists because they want to keep the craft. And this is an important thing that I've learned from you about how the contractors get the craft, and that also keeps it from going public because they're doing the reverse engineering and they want to make the tremendous financial profits that are possible.
That's right.
Can you share a little bit more about that, please?
Well, it's even worse than that, because a lot of the lobbyists that they hire are the general officers from the military and the intelligence community. The general officers, they graduate from the military academies. They spend 20 years in the military, and they rise to the ranks of generals, and they're actually directly involved in determining what military equipment is going to be produced, what companies are going to get the contracts, and then they're hired. When they retire, they're hired to go into those corporations and are paid $350,000 to $500,000 a year to be lobbyists for them, because they know all the people in Washington because they've been there for 20 years. That's how complicated it is. But it's not just though some bureaucratic development that's occurred over the years. There's an actual sinister intent that they have on actually dominating the world, dominating the planet. And they've said so. For example, when Gorbachev withdrew from the Cold War in December of 1991, right in January of 1992, Dick Cheney, who was the Secretary of Defense under George Bush Sr., and Paul Wolfowitz and Doug Fife and that whole crowd that was in the Defense Department, they put forth an entire United States Defense Department policy planning guidance document that advocated establishing full spectrum military dominance over the whole planet. And they said so. And they said that the purpose for it was to maintain our continued privileged access to the strategic raw materials that we need, for our corporations, and so that they know what they're doing. The problem is the American people don't know what they're doing. And it's part of our job to get them to understand that part of the reason why they're hiding the greatest secret in the history of our human family from us, that there's this non-human extraterrestrial civilization all around us, is because they want to maintain that kind of power over the planet. And they know perfectly well that if we prove definitively that they've been lying to us for the last 80 years, or as one of the guys said to us, he said, that's the mother conspiracy of all conspiracies. And if in fact people come to realize that that conspiracy is true, well, then they're going to believe all the other conspiracies too, like the Kennedy assassination and 9/11. He said those are the examples he gave. I was remiss to say, by the way, those things are true too. But that's what they're concerned about, is that it can come unwound, that their control over the planet can come unwound. And now they've generated the reactive force of Russia and China, so we've got that whole additional burden. Those of us who want peace on the planet and love and compassion for everybody, we've got to reach out to the Russian people and the Chinese people and their government leaders and get them to step back, from their reactive institutions they've put together to deal with our major offensive operation that's been going on ever since the age of American imperialism. So that's what we've got to deal with.
You mentioned the Kennedy assassination, and I was 8 years old when he was assassinated, and I believe that that's when this country took a big left turn. And of course, we've all yeah, big right turn. Thank you, a right turn.
Hard right. Hard right
Very
turn.
hard right turn. And of course, we've always wanted to know what's the truth. I'm not going to ask you to do it here, but Danny, in previous podcasts, not on this show, but on other shows, lays out very specifically the fascinating relationship between the Cubans, Nixon, the mafia, and it's interesting each little role that each one plays. It's about a 2-hour podcast that I watched with you, Danny, where you broke it down so clearly and specifically. And I was like, oh my God, now I know the full story of what really happened with that assassination. So
Yeah.
I
That was
recommend
Danny
it.
Jones. I think Danny Jones asked me about it. But the fact is, people can go on our website to New Paradigm Institute or Romero Institute, and there's a click in there. You can click on a link that actually has the resources. And I taught the only university level course on the assassination of President Kennedy. It's
So
got
Danny, show us where I'm on your website now.
Romero. I think it's Romero.
Romero. It's in the.
Oh, okay, I'll go to
it's on the
Romero.
It's on the Romero Institute thing, and it's listed, I think, as resources or courses. I think it's actually there, and that there's 20 90-minute lectures that start right from the very beginning.
Here we are. So here's the Romero Institute, and it's Romero Institute
.org.
.org. Click resources and press. Here's all the press, and here's video and audio.
Keep going. I think there's courses that are in there.
Documents, more video and audio. Maybe it's under. Here it is. Anniversary. Karen Silkwood report. Everybody, Danny was her attorney, Karen Silkwood, who they made an entire movie about her murder.
Yeah.
He was very involved in going after the Iran-Contra. So there's so much fascinating stuff here. I still haven't seen the JFK one yet.
Okay. These are all the trajectory of justice. These are the Karen Silkwood case, the Constitution underwater. There's keep going here.
Those are your classes, aren't they, Danny?
These are classes here. Yes.
Wow.
All resources, but there's the JFK assassinate it's called the alternative theories of the assassination of President Kennedy, and it's there's 20 90-minute lectures there.
I'm doing the search bar. It's not coming up under the search. I tried putting JFK in here. So
I can't imagine that it's not still there.
yeah. Well,
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 we'll
if
take
it's
a
not, we'll have to figure that one out. What
yeah,
happened?
we'll check it because it was on there. Uh, but we'll make sure it's back there. But it's,
yeah,
as I
absolutely.
say, it starts out with the lone gunman theory and goes to the theory of the mafia did it, the theory that the CIA did it, the theory that the Cuban government did it, the theory that the Russians did it. It's each one of the classes is devoted to one of the different theories until you get to the last two classes, the 19th and 20th classes. It goes into great detail chronologically exactly how it happened and who did it and who authorized it and why.
Really fascinating. So definitely let's get that back up there because
Yeah,
when I watched it, it was like, oh my God, after all these years, after 50 plus years, now I finally know the truth of what happened. So thank you for
right.
that, Danny. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Danny. Great work. Where's your next stop? What you're going to be doing these weekly lectures after the movie, right?
I do the weekly lectures after the movies. I've got the weekly podcast that we do for SpectraVision radio that we shoot it every Tuesday and they release it Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. And then we've got I'm going to Washington to be there for the 25th for the UAP Disclosure Foundation thing. I've got uh, I've got to do a couple talks about the threat to Cuba right now that Trump is getting ready to try to, he's already got the Justice Department to indict Raul Castro so that
Right.
theoretically he could justify going in and knocking out all of the military facilities of the Cuban government and then kidnapping him. Uh, so,
Excellent.
these are the things that are going on, and I'm going to when I'm back in Washington D.C. I'm going to find out what it is that is causing Lou to move back to Washington. After Jennifer was just emphatic that she didn't want to be there anymore. Uh, but so something's happened. So
Keep
they're getting ready
keep
for.
us up to date. I'm sure I'll see you guys somewhere, and thank you for the amazing work and dedication to being a public defendant, really, to all these very important issues that will change the planet.
No.
Defender. We're not
Defender.
defenders to the other guys.
Uh, Danny, Sarah, thank you so much. And Alan, I know you've got a special friend that you are going to introduce who's going to provide a little bit of an experience for us.
I do have a very special friend who's really in alignment with all the things that we've been talking about here. She's a shaman, really, and she is someone who's dedicated her life to the awakening of spirit. She's very in touch with her guidance, and her sound frequencies that come out of her match a sort of geometries that she sees. So she's not just another sound healer. She's bringing in a whole environment of new consciousness with sound and light that's coming through her. So yeah, I was really impressed with her voice. And so I think it's important she's doing this now after this long conversation, because this will ground the new information into our energy field. So Star Kelly, anything you want to say about what you heard and what you're going to do?
I'm so grateful to be here, to be a part of this, and to have listened to this conversation. I'm so aligned and so on board, and yeah, so aligned with so many of my experiences as well.
Yeah, describe your aspect of sound healing.
My aspect.
What your input, what your vision, how you do it.
Sure. So I work with guides. First of all, I trained to sing opera for many years when I was young. And so I worked with a lot of different frequencies in my body. And in recent years, which was also very important, and they taught me a lot about sound and a lot about sound vibration. But they started teaching me in recent years basically this, yeah, geometric matrix of like making this sound and then making this sound. And so they kind of guide me which sounds are needed or which sounds are helpful in the situation. And they've also had me do a lot of different types of drills to make different sorts of sounds for different reasons as well.
Right, and you were trained as an operatic singer, so you have those high frequencies. So could you do some of these sounds and geometric vibrational frequencies that will help us awaken to this new reality of ET contact?
Sure. Yeah. I've been channeling a song already, and so it's kind of it's been brewing.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. I have a feeling a little light language will come through as well.
Right.
Okay. kushunyanya hulanya unyashitu atila shitu kinashulati mani patu shalikuti.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's all give her some twinkles and appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Storm, maybe you can put in the chat box how we can find you. If you've got a website or a place, that would be great.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. Thanks for
And-
this opportunity.
And I want to thank our good Amanda, and if everybody could mute because somebody, I'm getting an echo. Amanda found Danny your courses. So here it is. I'm going to leave it up for a little bit, and we've also put it into the chat box for those of you in the Zoom room. There is his courses on the JFK assassination from 13 years ago. But as he said, each one is fascinating, goes through the entire history, including a complete flow chart that I was just looking at. So here they are. They're in the chat box. And a big thanks to Amanda, who found this for us. Thank you very much, Amanda. Well, I have Lori with me, and of course, we've done many projects in collaborations with Lori and the Sunrise Center. And of course, our audience, our regular audience, knows and loves Swami Beyondananda. He's been on the show recently, and he's been on going all the way back to the beginning. And Lori, do you want to share a little bit about what's going to be happening?
Well, on February, excuse me, on
June
June
12th.
12th, we're going to be doing a fun show that Swami Beyondananda has done called Swami Beyondananda Wanted for Questioning. And we're going to take a look at, I mean, when I see him and when he presents, I can't stop laughing, just one time after another. And then in Sunrise Center itself, a smaller group of us will be looking in community at and sharing how does humor work in our lives? What is it that we bring? And we're serving food, so it's a good hosting. He's going to be coming straight to us from Ashland, and it's going to be really great as usual. And people who come in person to Sunrise Center can get our membership tickets half off. And he is also going to create a special follow-up group for participating in the show. So
Great. And so just to be clear, if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, come to Corte Madera, just north of San Francisco, for the live event, or you can also catch it online. There'll be a Zoom broadcast because, of course, most of our friends are online. And so if you go to sunrisecenter.org, sunrisecenter.org, click events, and the first one that comes up
nice.
is there right here.
There we are.
There's Swami with Lori, and just click get tickets. And it's $15 for Zoomers. It's $25 for the big screen VIP experience. And there's an early bird discount. Again, this is $20 if you sign up now to come live in Corte Madera, or you can come for $15 online. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure many of our Zoom roomers will be there. I won't be able to be there because I will be watching the Steven Spielberg movie with Alan Steinfeld at that exact same time. But Friday, June 12th is going to be a big day in our human history.
Yes.
So very, very exciting.
Great.
So thank you, everybody. We are going to conclude with Kirtan from Ashok. And just want to thank everybody for being with us. It's been a powerful show. And I'm going to bring up Danny and Sarah one more time just for us to appreciate them. I'm also going to bring up our house musical artist, Omashar, who makes all things happen. And our new friend, Star Kelly. Thank you. But before Ashok, we've got something very important. Every week now, we have prayer time. And leading our prayer time is our beloved Diara. And so this is a time for us to come together as family, as tribe, and to do some prayer. And take it away, Diara.
Thank you, Scott. And what we do during this time is we scoop up everything that's happened in our show tonight, and we expand upon that. And one of the things I love about Danny is his feet on the ground, moving the earth, knowing how to make things happen, and then transporting up into the galactics and beyond. And that's what we get to do here is we have our feet on the ground and our hearts in the sky and bring it all together. And we're learning how to hold it all, to be both and. Even in tonight, we see that there are so many diverse perspectives. And as our capacity to allow for diversity grows here amongst ourselves, all the species here on our planet now, we can increase our capacity to allow for that diversity above and below. So bringing that in, breathing that in even more now, taking in the beautiful language and sound vibration that Star brought in, that Omashar brings in, that Ashok's going to bring in again. And just really using all our power to take this invisible energy and to scoop it up and out, sending that light out, touching all the minds and hearts that have yet to awaken, and blessing all the young ones that are here, that are wide awake, and letting them know that we see them. And when we see them, we smile and let them know that they are not alone, that they are seen as well. And one of the things that we do also in our beautiful tribe, in addition to taking this expansive energy and using it for the good of all, we also bring it right down to the individual, all the individual needs. And tonight, in addition to those that we send the love and prayers and healing out from our hearts, I'd like us to send our love to Scotty Satori, our healing love and light, and just amplify his health and his healing. And bring in anyone else in your mind and heart to take part of this, but sending this out to Scotty. All your cells receiving this loving light. Clearing away anything other than the purity of the body, the mind, and the spirit. And then as that continues throughout tonight and beyond, we also take as much of that beautiful energy that we've co-created and bringing that in, filling our own cups, helping ourselves be resourced, as Scott says. And blessings to the entire global peace tribe, the awakening world, and the millions and millions that we touch. And so it is.
I was doing a whole prayer for Danny and Sarah, and I was muted. Wanted to just really ask for maximum grace for Danny and Sarah and the New Paradigm Institute, the work that they're doing. May they get all the support that they need to do this great work. Maximum grace. Maximum grace.
Okay.
One last thing, I do see there is a website here for our new friend. Oh, whoops, it says private site, currently private, so I'm not allowed to open it up. Unfortunately, I can't do that. But I wanted to show Star's website. So Star, that's what happens when I click on it, just so you know. All right, we are going to conclude with some beautiful kirtan with our friend Ashoka. And so please stay with us. And here we go. I'm turning it over to you, partner.
Thank you, dear Scott. I'll sing a chant called Jai Guru. Thank you, dear, for your beautiful prayer. And as dear said, that clearing the impurities. So Jai Guru. Guru means the one who removes darkness, the imperfect. And Jai means victory. So it's a simple chant called Jai Guru. And we sing together. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. 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 Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai 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 Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. The next chant is Hey Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the Lord, God or divine, whoever the divinity is for you. We just call the divine to be with us. Hey Bhagavan. Hey Bhagavan, 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 Hey Bhagavan. Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, 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 Bhagavan. Bhagavan, 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 Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan. Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, 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 Bhagavan. Allah complete with a prayer. His prayer in Sanskrit says that God is everywhere, and our salutations to the God, the divinity. Namo namastestu sahasra kritva punasya bhuyopi namo namaste namaha purastadata prishtataste namostute sarvata eva sarva.
Ah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to go to gallery view one more time. And let's send Ashoka such a beautiful, beautiful soul, and his music just helps us to remember the divinity of life itself, which is so beautiful, Ashoka. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Scott, Shar, and everybody, all the panelists. Be well.
And a reminder that his website, such a beautiful name, excuse me, it's swankirtan.org, swankirtan.org. And that's where you can find all things Ashoka. So thank you so much, my dear friend. And thank you for your connection to our beloved Yogananda and that lineage. I love bringing that into the awakening world. Very, very important. We are wrapping up, but I always like to let people know what's coming up. And we have a really fun show coming up on Wednesday night. We've had authors that we love. Well, we're going to be celebrating two couples that we love. Maggie and Magic, you've seen them on the show before, and Darren and Karina. And Maggie and Magic are going to lead us on a very beautiful guided journey. Remember the guided journey that Khadijah and Tatiana took us on? Well, Magic and Magic and Maggie are going to do something similar. And then Darren and Karina also have something very special planned. And of course, Shar will be providing 3 musical offerings for us. And then next Saturday night is kind of a combination. I'm going to be traveling with Tangela. Tangela, I'm meeting her. I'm going to San Diego tomorrow, be there for 3 days, go to Sedona. I pick up Tangela, and we drive to Albuquerque for a couple days where we will join up with Alan and the Hertogs and Linda Moulton Howe and others to watch the Spielberg movie. And we're going to stay in Albuquerque for a couple nights. And on Saturday the 13th, in the morning will be our relationship mastery course. And in the evening on the Awakening World, Alan and I and the Hertogs and others will talk about the film and how it impacted us. And we also going to have a couple of soul search healers with us. So it's going to be kind of a hybrid show, if you will. And then We're all heading on, and hopefully, if we're lucky, Omoshar will join us. I'm hoping he'll join us in Albuquerque. I know he's still working on that. And then we're all heading to Santa Fe for the Evolutionary Leaders Circle Retreat. And on Wednesday, the 17th, our show will be coming from Santa Fe, where you'll be meeting some of our friends in the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. So that's what's coming up over the next 10 days. Tomorrow is Sunday. Make it a sacred Sunday by choosing to see the divine in all. And I want to acknowledge and appreciate the 52 loyal beloveds that are still in our Zoom room with us, and all of you watching on Facebook and YouTube land. I'm going to bring up Omashar one more time. Thank you, brother, for all that you do. And I hope you can join us in Albuquerque. Let's
yeah, I'm not too sure about that because I have someone else's car to borrow. But I know that on Wednesday we'll have Kristen with us and a whole host of the evolutionary leaders. So Kristen Hoffman. So looking forward to seeing what we can put together for the show for you, Scott, that night musically.
Yep, it's going to be really special. And speaking of music, one more time, going to bring up Star and Ashok. Thank you so much for helping us integrate all this information with your beautiful, beautiful music. And it's wonderful to meet you, Star and Ashok. I know you'll be back with us as well. So take care, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view one last time so we can all wave goodbye. Take care. Have a beautiful, sacred Sunday, and I hope to see all of you on Wednesday night.